The debrief will be long for England after this Ashes series, which they lost 4-0. And at the top of this debrief will be the question mark over Joe Root, their captain, and why he cannot convert his scores of 50 into centuries, whereas opposite number Steve Smith has that uncanny knack of going big into three figures. This is a fairly statistical analysis of where Joe Root is failing. But of course, inside the England captain's head, of course, himself, he'll know what he wants to do and what he has to do. And I'm sure that he will work with England's management on how to take his batting to the next level. He knows he can do it. Numbers first, though. Let's look at Joe Root, what he does and what he's not doing. Joe Root, in 65 tests, 118 innings, 13 centuries, 36 50s. He gets 100 every 9.07 innings, and that's a conversion rate of 26.53%. 26.53%. When you keep that number in your head, and let me give you the numbers now for Steve Smith, his opposite number. Steve Smith, 61 tests, 111 innings, 23 centuries, 23 50s. He gets 100 every 4.8 innings, and that's a conversion rate of 50%. So he's almost doubly effective than his opposite number, Joe Root, and that was a crucial factor in this Ashes series. If you just look at the numbers as well for Virat Kohli and for Kane Williamson. Virat Kohli, conversion rate is 57.14%, 20 centuries out of 35, and Kane Williamson is 39.53%, 17 centuries out of 43 50s. Now, Joe Root, till his highest test score of 254 against Pakistan at Old Trafford, had 10 centuries out of 30 50-plus scores. So that's a conversion rate of 33%. Since then, he's had 3 centuries out of 19 50-plus scores, and that's a conversion rate of 15%. 15%. These percentages are so low. It has to be worrying for the player himself, I'm sure it is, and certainly for England's management. But he's 27 and he's got time on his hands. When you look at where Root stands amongst all players in recent times, let's give you this list here. This is quite interesting. Arjuna Ranatunga, 4 centuries in 42 50s. Mark Boucher, 5 from 40. Stephen Fleming, 9 from 55. Misbah-ul-Haq, 10 from 49. VVS Lachman, 17 from 73. Alex Stewart, 15 from 60. And Michael Atherton, 16 from 62. Joe Root, the poorest conversion rate in Test, 26.53%, 13 from 49. It doesn't make for good reading, does it, for England's captain? And then the one last item tagged to Joe Root. If you look at this here, Joe Root, amongst those with 1,500 plus runs in Test cricket and a 50 plus average, Joe Root's conversion of 26.53% is the poorest in Test cricket history. Now, if you take a positive spin on that, there's only one way that Joe Root can go, and that's to go this way, because he doesn't want to go that way. He wants to convert those 50s, and he had 5 of them in the series, in this Ashes series, into big hundreds. And when he starts doing that, England will have a stability to their batting, which in this Ashes series they did not have. So Joe Root, for him, mentally it's back to the drawing board. For the management, it's working with Joe Root. He is the captain, he's their best player, and they've got to get him moving in the upwards direction. Okay, so this is, I've just missed the one piece out for Joe Root. I'll add this. Another aspect of the nature of Joe Root's hundreds, when you look when he gets these hundreds, Joe Root in the first innings has scored 12 hundreds out of a possible 31 scores of 50 plus. 12 out of 31 50s. In the second innings, Joe Root 1 century out of 18 scores of 50 plus. So he's not getting the runs in the second innings, and it still is a worry for Root that he's getting all these chances with 50s and not converting them to the big numbers. Okay,